Who doesn't love ducks? Head down to any body of water and you're bound to see some dabbling away. But have you ever noticed that not all ducks look the same?
BC is actually home to a huge variety of ducks, and some of them are pretty fancy.
I'm Connel, I'm a wildlife conservationist.
I'm Ryan, I'm a wildlife filmmaker, and today we're gonna head out to film some of BC's fanciest ducks.
Let's get quacking. Both Ryan and I are big into birds and spend a lot of our time out bird watching. And no matter what, if I get the opportunity to stop and look at ducks, I'll always take it because they're just so beautiful. We've come down to the beach to find our first duck of the day, and I'm so excited about this one. It's the Harlequin Duck, one of my absolute favourite birds. Not only do they look amazing with that sort of reddish side and blue front, they're also really hardy, which is why we've come down to the rocky shoreline like this to see them.
My favorite thing about the Harlequin ducks is they look like they're going to some kind of black tie event, especially the males. It looks like they're wearing a little tuxedo. It's really cool.
They're amazing swimmers both above and under the water, able to sustain waves, tides, and those fast-flowing streams. Under the water, they're kind of like little penguins, propelling themselves after their food with their wings and their feet. They can dive up to 20 meters, which is really impressive for a relatively small bird.
How are they to film?
These ducks are actually really difficult to film. They're really shy. Anytime you think you're about to get a good shot and you get close and you get the camera set up, they dive under the water and swim away. So it's been challenging, but still a lot of fun.
I've seen them described as sea mice before, which I think is really cute. And they're called sea mice because they don't quack like a more stereotypical duck. They squeak, kind of like a mouse. You'll often see them on their own or in pairs. They're fairly introverted and not that social, unlike the next duck we're going to go and see, which is the pintail.
So as you can see, we've shifted locations from the calm lagoon that we were at earlier. We've come here because this duck enjoys a little bit more action. The males have a long and impressive pointy tail and a beautiful blue beak. I also think that the females are quite understated. Just look at that intricate brown patterning.
Pintails are a dabbling duck, so unlike the harlequin, they aren't diving for their food. Instead, they scoop it up with their beak, eating everything from worms to seeds. You can see them doing it when they dip their heads under the water. It also gives you a chance to admire their amazing tail. Something that's great about pintails is that they're found right across BC and Canada, so you have a chance of seeing them no matter where you live.
So why are we able to see so many of these fancy ducks? Well, BC sits on the Pacific Flyway, which is basically a highway for migratory birds. An estimated 8 million waterfowl migrate either to us or right over us. And this makes BC globally significant to the population of so many different species.
For our next duck, we've come to this bay on the Saanich Peninsula, and it's pretty exciting for me because it's a duck that I've never actually seen before. I'm from Alberta, recently moved to BC, so this is a completely new ecosystem for me. It's a Surfscooter, and they are some of the most numerous ducks on the BC coastline. You can find these ducks almost anywhere, from ferry terminals to Stanley Park in Vancouver to the most remote corners of Vancouver Island. What makes a Surfscooter fancy? Well, for me, it's definitely the beak. It's way different to any other beak that I've ever seen on a bird before. Connell mentioned migration earlier, and the Surfscooters are making a pretty epic migration at the moment. They're coming from California and BC, and they're going all the way up into the Canadian North to breed. They gather in the thousands here along the coast, and they're pretty chaotic when they get together in these big groups.
Hey Connell,
Yes.
what's your favorite thing about Surfscooters?
Oh, I love it when they fly. They make this really weird noise. It's kind of a whistling. They go whoop, 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 whoop. I've never heard a bird make a noise like it. Surfscooters are so much fun to watch, but we've got to leave them because we've got one more duck to go and find. Forget how to walk.
So to look for our last duck of the day, we've come to this forest here, which is probably not where you'd expect to find a duck.
Now, arguably, this is the fanciest one of the day, and there's a little pond around the corner, and hopefully we're gonna see some. See that duck in the tree over there? That's the fancy duck we're looking for. It's a wood duck. As the name suggests, they love to spend most of their time in and around trees, and you're most likely to see them in kind of sheltered lakes and ponds surrounded by vegetation. They even nest in the trees, in holes or cavities, but they don't build them themselves. They use ones that have been pecked out by pileated woodpeckers. One of their coolest adaptations is on their feet. They have these really sharp claws, which is unusual for most ducks. And this is to help them cling onto the wood and perch on branches. And if you look closely, they're a bit like dinosaur feet. Every time I see them, I feel like I notice a new pattern or color. They're outrageous. This is definitely the fanciest duck that we have here in BC. I do not think that it gets any better than this.
Ducks are a great reminder that you don't have to travel far or into remote areas to see incredible wildlife.
They're a really important part of the ecosystem here in BC, and it's been so much fun to go and see these fancy ducks. Thanks so much for watching.